Good evening. Welcome to a very, very special, spontaneous episode of Cat Space. I am Cat. With me always is Buckets and Leon.
Evening.
Lena couldn't join us tonight, but she will be back on Thursday. Before we start, on behalf of Cat Space, we would like to wish His Majesty King Charles III a very speedy recovery. We are thinking of you and the family. We are putting our love and our thoughts, our prayers your way. And God save the King. So tonight's episode is all about King Charles, Prince William, and Prince Harry as the world woke up to devastating news of His Majesty's diagnosis of cancer. This has become a sad moment for all of us here in Australia and around the world. So let's get started. Leon, first question. With King Charles sick with cancer, what will this mean for the monarchy?
I don't. This won't change much at the moment. The only thing that will change right now is while King Charles is recovering, unfortunately, whether or not she likes it or not, but all the duties at the moment will have to fall under Carmilla, Queen Camilla, until Charles is able to resume proceedings. But I think this really has come as a big shock because, as far as I knew, I was under the impression that he was getting treated for some sort of prostate thing. And however, this has turned out to be so much worse, so bad that Buckingham Palace released a statement roughly 6 o'clock this morning, or 5 or 6 o'clock this morning, saying that that King Charles has some sort of cancer. It's undisclosed at this point, but I have a feeling it might. I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, all cancers are serious, but I think with certain developments that have happened throughout the day, it would tend me to believe that it may be more serious than people realize at this point in time. But obviously, that's just speculation.
Buckets, same question, your answer. With King Charles sick with cancer, what will this mean for the monarchy?
Um, it's interesting that Leon mentioned Queen Camilla taking over royal duties, because I wonder, will it be Camilla taking over royal duties and not Prince William, as he's now being basically made regent? So I wonder if William will take over the royal duties until his father fully recovers. So that's a big question mark that I'm wondering. I mean, I'm sure Queen Camilla can attend the numerous charities and organizations that the royal family have started, but it's really Prince William that will have the power and has had the power as he's now regent.
I think you're both right. You both brought on some strong points. Now, Prince William is Prince of Wales. With his wife out of action until after Easter, hope she feels better too. We're sending our love to you, William, and the children. As you're right, both of you, Leon, this is much more serious than we think because we are now starting. I don't know if you've noticed, we're now starting to see broadcasters from ITV to the BBC now donning black outfits. And even though he's still alive, donning black outfits is not exactly, a happy occasion. I mean, so quickly to wear it, because they have to have black attire within seconds. And now we're starting to see the grip of that. And so many broadcasters outside Buckingham Palace. We haven't seen anything like this since we lost Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. And as you said, this has come as a big shock. I think Prince William, even though he's a Prince of Wales, he will now be known as, or possibly he will be like a Prince Regent. So he will carry out the duties of the king with Camilla at his side, with his aunt and uncle, Prince Edward, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, and his aunt, the Princess Royal, Prince Anne, and his cousins to help along the way. And knowing that His Royal Highness Prince Harry has spoken to his dad and is rushing off to the UK pretty fast. I think this is, as everyone said, this is more serious than we think. Next question, Leon. What would this mean for Harry's arrival to see his father?
Well, basically, the moment that this started breaking, Harry was already, Harry had changed his whatever it is he was doing to make it. I believe it was a dash to the UK. That's what worries me. The fact that he's made that he's changed this particular plan, that his plans, and he's actually made this, he's organised this dash to the UK, which makes me believe that something is very wrong here. So. But it's a good thing that I believe it's obvious, you need your family when something like this has happened. So I think Harry going there is a good idea. It's a good step. It's just like to at least show the media, hey, stop making things up. This is serious. So, he's making this dash out there to see his dad, because this is obviously a health scare. This would be a good opportunity to at least mend some fences.
Amen. Buckets, same question, your response, please. What would this mean for Harry's arrival to see his father?
Well, it would mean to the at least the English or British public and I suppose the rest of the world, as Leon said, is to make amends, and it would also show that Harry can actually be grown up and actually start maybe doing royal duties again. I think a lot of the English public are angry at Harry that he gave up on his royal family, but the fact that he's making the effort to come home and reunite with his father, just in case he does actually, but if he does, is a sign of peace, in my opinion. And for the rest of the Commonwealth countries, it's actually what we do want to see, because I think people are tired of this, excuse the language, neighbours crap that's been going on between the royal family, and I think we all just want them just to get on with the job and move on.
I agree with both of you. I think that for Harry's arrival, this hopefully will bring about peace and unity to the monarchy, to the royal family members, and to build some bridges and not have any remorse or regrets down the line should, God forbid, something happen to the king. The British public are in two heads with Harry at the moment. Some don't want him to come home, but some are extremely proud of him and, giving him great publicity, which is well done, Harry, bravo, Harold, welcome home. I think the British media has been on his backside for a long time now, and now they're having to swallow their pride because the prodigal son has returned or is returning to his homeland to see his father, to make peace, to make amends, to shake hands, to hug each other, to spend time together, to say things that they should say to each other, to have forgiveness for Harold and for, William, to finally hug it out and find peace between each other without warring. And I think this will be the one thing that no media outlet, no journalist, i.e. Piers Morgan, can talk about, because I think behind closed doors is what we don't hear is what may happen. And I mean, good for him. My hat's off to you, Harry. I couldn't be more proud of the fact that he's coming to see his dad. This is really, really good on him. Next question. As William is Prince Regent, does he need to learn more about family unification when he does ascend the throne, Leon?
I would imagine that Diana, Camilla, and also Charles have all, taught both Harry and also William what to do in case of this. And they're imagining that King Charles has a whole bunch of handlers and, royal handlers or whatever to help teach, say, William and Harry, this is what you have to do in case of the unthinkable. So I have a feeling that they have well and truly been taught this, regarding the situation. So I imagine you can never really prepare for anybody dying. I mean, nobody wants to see anybody die and all that, any of that. But just in case, because this is the monarchy that we're talking about, these guys would have to be, learning what to do, everything like that, straight away. From basically the time that they could talk or whatever, the time they walk, they would have all been taught how to act from pretty much childhood, pretty much all the way through to now. William has seemed to be able to handle that better than Harry did. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that one.
Buckets. As William is Prince Regent, does he need to learn more about family unification when he ascends the throne? Or before he ascends the throne?
He does. Because look, people have thought the royals particularly are famous for starting complete wars over family rivalries. They're absolutely famous for it. They did this in World War One. They've done this in World War Two, of course. They've done this in previous wars, and they're all related to each other. That's the funny thing, that they all have some sort of relation somewhere down the track. So, and what I actually find ironic as well is that William has exhibited some emotional aggression towards Harry when he felt that he abandoned the family. But that probably wasn't in the best interests of the institution. So he needs to know the difference between, if he's going to be king, he needs to know the difference between the institution and his own private personal feelings between Harry and himself. Because if he doesn't, he could just get angry, okay, and start an international incident if he's not careful. So he really does need to learn these things if he's to rule one of the wealthiest countries in the world.
Next question. We've all seen this in the press, whether it's a rumor or alleged, when William allegedly denied Harry's return, regardless of the king's orders, was William abusing his power as Prince Regent, Liam?
Well, to be honest, that's the first time I've heard it. So if Williams did deny Harry a chance to visit the king or whatever, then I feel it is a abuse of power. William shouldn't be doing that, regardless on what your personal feelings are towards one another or whatever. That's abusing your power, and I think that's and I believe that would be the first misstep that William has made. So, with any luck, or hopefully, King Charles has pulled him aside, saying, whatever your feelings are towards your brother, he's still your brother. All right, you cannot be doing that, because you have been made to look to be the model royal, when that's called the model future king. And if people start seeing you do that, then people might change their opinions on Prince William. So if Prince Williams has done that, then that is definitely abuse of power. Hopefully he does not make that mistake again.
Good answer. So many buckets. We've all seen, when Harry came for the court cases and blah blah blah, the media pulled apart. Oh, Prince William and Catherine don't want to. Prince William doesn't want to see his brother. Prince William doesn't acknowledge his brother. Prince William doesn't want to have anything to do with his brother. Is this abuse of power that now that Harry's coming home, do you think he abused that certain power, or do we not? Because we don't know what's happened behind closed doors. We don't know if he actually called him and said,
Well,
I'm coming home.
There was an incident where King Charles requested that Harry come home. Harry said yes, and William, as Prince Regent, said no. Harry is not allowed to come home, and therefore my word is final. So he went around his father's back, even though his King Charles literally said, "Bring Harry home," and William said no. So in that aspect, he did abuse his power.
But the thing is, we don't. The thing is, let's.
It was look. Let me speak. He did abuse his power in that aspect, but I think, as Leon has said, I think King Charles has pulled him aside and basically said, "Don't do that again, because I don't have that long to live, and if you keep doing this, people will think, why do we have a royal family? Why do we need a royal family if you keep doing things like this?" And they will lose faith in William. Right now, William's reign, okay, holds by, a toothpick. And all it would take is one stupid, selfish move that William would make, even out of anger or something like that, which he's been known to do in the past. And people would just say, "Yep, we don't need a royal family anymore. Let's just have a republic." And the worst thing that could possibly happen for William is if the English people just decided, let's just have a republic.
Yeah,
Because
that would be the worst thing, because what happens to Buckingham Palace? What happens to all those palaces all across the UK? Then what happens to them? What happens to all the royal family period?
it'll become hotels or museums after that, because there would be, or they'd have to be given back to the government.
Exactly. As I said, this is just an opinion piece. We're not hating on anyone, but the thing is, we don't know, and we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Like Harry's been home numerous times to do with the court cases. All we've seen is the magazines say, "Oh, Prince William wants nothing to do with his brother. Prince William hasn't seen his brother." Maybe like a lot of British media journalists, tabloids have said, Prince Harry and William haven't seen eye to eye. They've stayed within 5 minutes of each other. They don't want nothing to do with each other. I'm sorry, but I call bull, because at the end of the day, in case William doesn't want to see his brother, I think you're both right. I think the king would call William in and he'd say, "Listen, I'm not just saying this as your father, but I'm saying this as the king. On my orders, he is your brother. Love each other," because apparently there was in the tabloids a quote from him saying, "Boys, don't make my last remaining years a living nightmare." And he wants both of his sons to get along, and I'm sure he loves them both endlessly. It is heartbreaking, but I really do hope that there is somewhat peace between the two, and the hate stops, and William, we all thought William won't be king for another 40, 50 years, maybe 30 years.
No, no, that's not the case, because Charles is already in his 70s or something along those lines. So, if anything, William will probably be king in maybe 10 years or less.
No, because if Charles is sick, I believe if King Charles is sick, and it's bad as it is, I think we could see William ascend the throne within a year or two.
You think within 1 or 2 years, not 5 or 10?
Well, there's no way, because if he's getting treated and he loses all his hair, he gets, tired, exhausted, fatigued, he can't do anything, he's in a lot of pain, then he'll step up and he'll be king. Like King Frederick, he'll be king before we all know it. And I don't think it's 5 years. I think it's a matter of 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years.
I think Kat's actually right on that, because as you said, Leon, King Charles's age, because Queen Elizabeth II was one of the longest serving monarchs of our time, if not the longest, because she wouldn't give up the throne for such a long time. King Charles is in his 70s, and he's already got cancer, and it's only a matter of time. I don't think he's gonna sit on the throne for 40 years like his predecessors. He's probably gonna last at best 5, but realistically maybe 2-3 years because of his condition, because of his age. And even with the best medical attention, I don't think he's going to last that long. And there is actually a reason why. I know I'm waffling on, but I think there is a reason why Queen Elizabeth the Second changed the rules on who would succeed the throne, and which was the children of William. She did that purely because she knew that Charles would not last long during his age, and by the time William finished his reign, his children would be the right age to take the throne, as opposed to in their 70s or 80s.
I think another question that probably is unanswered here. What happens if Charles bites the big one? Does Carmilla just become queen on her own until she dies? Because what happened? No, when I explained that, the reason why I'm saying that is because Queen Elizabeth, she was the queen like for a couple of years after Prince, what's his name, died.
Prince
Prince
George.
Philip.
George.
So she was queen on her own for several years after Prince Philip died. So the question is, would Carmilla be the actual queen, or will she be forced to advocate?
Here's what happens. If, God forbid, the king dies and dies early, Camilla will still be queen, but she will be the queen dowager.
Please explain to me what the Queen Dowager is.
It's what's it called? Queen dowager. It's
Is that
it's like queen in mourning. Queen dowager, the late. So yeah, Queen dowager is the late king's wife.
so basically
Queen Dowager.
Queen, almost like Queen's mother, basically.
Yeah, but she won't be able to be queen. She'll be queen dowager, but she'll have to step aside, as William will instantly become known as King William V, and his wife, Queen Catherine, Queen Consort, Queen Catherine.
Right.
He'll be known as William V unless he decides to follow in his grandfather's footsteps and his ancestors before him who changed their names regally when they took the throne. Or maybe he might stay like his dad and grandmother and use his name formally as King William and Queen Consort Catherine.
You know what the sad thing is, with the king, currently fighting cancer, right? As the time of our recording of this, unfortunately, Toby Keith, American country singer, has just died from cancer. That's why you would have seen me looking down this way a little bit just a moment ago, like my jaw hanging out. I'm like, are you serious? So cancer is obviously a real thing. So by the time of this recording, this is actually breaking. So.
Oh my God! Oh my
It's
God!
quite unfortunate.
So unfortunate. He's so young. Next question.
He was in his 60s. Toby Keith was in his 60s.
Well, cancer is the world's biggest killer.
Yeah.
Next question. I know we've spoken about this, but let me ask it anyway. Leo, how could Harry and Will make amends to save the British royal family, i.e. the House of Windsor?
Well, I think what they need to do, because of this cancer situation right now with King Charles, is that's where you start, right? You just be professional and be courteous to another. Don't be bitching around, because right now King Charles would not be able to handle that right now while he is in recovery or whatever, or he's getting treated for cancer. So they can't have these two going at it. You know what I mean? So I have a feeling, because I'd imagine that King Charles had pulled William aside. Look, this is bigger than a family squabble. Okay, so put your feelings aside, get over it, get back to the way things were. I know, obviously, as you know, you go on, things are not as they were, but you could at least try to change it and try to at least get back on some sort of common ground and stuff like that. So I have a feeling this will be courteous. I hope that they can, you know, sort out their issues, at least for the sake of it, or at least if not for the sake of each other, for the sake of King Charles.
Mhm. Good answer, good answer. Buckets, your turn. How could Harry and Will make amends to save the British family, i.e. the House of Windsor?
They need to have a peace accord. It's that simple. They need to have a peace accord. They need to remember that they are Windsors. They also need to remember that they are part of the same family. And it is an interesting point that Leon did mention the stress of things, because you know what, my father actually did die of cancer, and because he was under stress, he actually died quicker. So if they continue to bicker like small children, this will stress out King Charles, and he won't live as long. So if they want to prolong King Charles's life, they need to stop the bickering and be at peace and start royal duties again. Now, they can administer these royal duties in a number of ways, in a number of charities, which in my opinion, Harry's already doing anyway. And so is William. They're very good at it. They're very good at basically raking in financial capital to perform said royal duties. But the thing is, these royal duties aren't exactly, they're not exactly hard things to do. So they shouldn't really be complaining. They just really just need to just get on with the job. Remember the family that they came from and be at peace, even if it means prolonging Charles's life so they can spend more time with him. I do understand that death is a very, very sad thing, and it can really take its toll on people. That's just normal. And they would have felt that horrible pain when it came to Princess Di. But if they're going to continue to bicker, it's going to look bad on them, and it's going to look bad on the king, and the king just won't be able to take it anymore, and he'll just slip away. So they just need to be at peace. That's the
And we're hoping that doesn't happen. So that's why we're all hoping that, you know, Williams and Harry can put their differences aside for the sake of his dad, because if he's not, then he'll probably go back even quicker, as you said.
I love both your answers. The only thing I have to say about it is William has to remember what his mother said, which is whether William likes it or not, this is what he's inheriting, which is a throne.
Yes.
And he's inheriting a kingdom, not just of England, but England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, and the whole Commonwealth realms around him. He's a leader, but the thing is, he needs to lead not with his head, but his heart. And I think William needs to, once Harry arrives, is to meet at Clarence House, where the king is, and close the door behind them and sit with the king. And as you both said, spend time with him, spend every day with him, morning, noon, and night. Do your royal duties, you know, shake hands, hug it out. Your brothers at the end of the day. We don't need another smutty interview. We don't need another leakage of, oh, you know, Prince Harry's only doing this because of his Netflix deal, or how much he's going to get with Netflix, or he's carrying a microphone, or he's going to go back and do another interview with a talk show with Oprah or whoever. They need kindness between each other. They need to look at each other and go, okay, this is serious. We need to band together. We are brothers. We cannot let Pa down. We cannot let our family down, and we cannot let our mother down, and we need to see this through, because in the end, William's time to be king is coming up super fast. And he, even though he's got his children and his wife and the rest of the royal family, he cannot work the monarchy without his brother.
Can I say something on that? It's interesting that you said shouldn't use his head and just use his heart. I'm under the belief that William should, and Harry as well, need to use their head and also use their heart and act in a way that where their behavior is sound.
A cordial.
Yes, and because right now they're not doing anything that's quote unquote royal. I mean, you can basically compare their behavior to
Kids.
schoolyard children that are fighting over the last dessert at the canteen. And I mean, as sweet as that dessert is, all the parents are looking at them and going, "Who the hell raised these guys?" And it's a disgrace on their family, and they need to start using their noggin. They need to start using their heart, and they need to start turning their behavior into good behavior, because that is the difference between poor leadership and good leadership.
Yeah.
Okay, I know Harry is the badass. He's always been the badass, and to a lot of people, that's been a great sex appeal for him, and it's always got him in the magazines and stuff like that. But he needs to grow up, and so does William, and they need to be more royal than they actually are.
I think this might be the trigger that might snap Harry out of it, maybe.
I hope so, because I think even though the late Princess of Wales isn't here, Lady Di, I think looking back, she's been gone for 27 years almost this year. I mean, it is a long time, but if she was alive, I'm sure she would have got those two to Kensington Palace, to where she lives, and said, "You're not leaving this house or this room until both of you have spoken about this. And I'm sitting here as your mother, and I'm not going to allow this anymore." And I think William shows no emotion, and it's always, stiff upper lip, which is the way of who he is. But they both need to remind themselves of the never complain, never explain. That's why I keep saying we don't want any more interviews. We don't want any more bombshells. We don't want to spare us book number 2. We don't want tidbits. We need a family that will lead, and lead with dignity and respect towards all the other Commonwealth realms. Otherwise, if Harry and William keep duking it out, guess what? Countries like our country, Australia, New Zealand, and other countries will look at them and go, "Why do we need this? We can just rule on our own."
Excuse me. You said the word never complain, never explain, and I know that's something that's in the royal family because of all the media and everything. But maybe we should change the tune, or maybe the royals need to change the tune and say, "Why don't you get involved? Start to resolve."
I love it.
I love that.
Right?
Get involved.
But you were rehearsing that in the mirror all day, going, that line.
Look, I was just great at being a rap star in high school, and that just came out.
I really like that. Say that again.
Start to revolve, get involved.
Love it.
I really like that. And I want to thank Buckets and Leon so much for this podcast. This was a spur of the moment. We had to do it because this is what the whole world is talking about right now. I don't know, in the last segment here, I don't know if you've noticed, Leon and Buckets, a lot of TV stations are lining up outside. A lot of TV stations are starting to wear black.
I haven't noticed it, to be honest. I haven't paid attention to much to the news. But then again, as a radio presenter, the only way you get to hear the news is every hour. I haven't, watched any of the other news outlets and stuff like that and see how they're covering. I understand. I believe that Sky UK may be covering it like round the clock, or even BBC might be as well. But if anything happens to royals, as I understand, anything that happens to any royal family member or whatever, I believe BBC is the first organisation to always say something, because I believe that has been the way for since the Queen had been alive. You know, it was since before the Queen. So if anything bad has happened, the BBC is always the first to know about it.
Mm. But I don't know if you've noticed, like they're all standing outside wearing black. Inside, they're all wearing black. Like I noticed a commentator on TikTok has said, "Why is everyone starting to wear black? Like he's still alive. Like isn't it a bit sudden to wear black? Like, and they only get told, get out of your normal attire and get into black and start presenting again." I mean, it was shocking to me. I mean, the king is still alive. I mean, to wear black is a bit sudden. I mean,
You know, if that had been America, they just imagine that they were the CIA. Oh, don't worry, they're all wearing black because they're all in the CIA.
but as I said, this podcast needed to happen. Thank you so much, Buckets and Leon, on behalf of all of us at Cat Space and Luna. We are really praying for His Majesty King Charles III. We hope for peace between William and Harry and the family, and speedy recovery, Your Majesty. We're thinking of you and praying for you here in Australia, hoping for a speedy recovery and some good news along the way. Until then, we will see you on Thursday for another podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and share our podcast. As you can see, where Leon is pointing. Let us know in the comments what you think. I am Kat. With me is Buckets and Leon. Thank you so much. Good night.
Yeah.